Hey, everybody. What's up? It's Thursday night, August the 20th. Welcome to Jump Into the Fire. We got a bunch of stuff to throw at you tonight. That seems like the right word. Hello, Clint Powell. How are you, sir? Clint Powell, the king of podcasting in Chattanooga. But find him during the break podcast. He is the king of podcasting in Chattanooga. He and Brian Stone, we're just trying to make a dent and have a little bit of fun since I'm not behind a damn microphone anymore. And probably won't be until November. The announcement will be made Monday by the Chattanooga Mocs regarding their fall athletics. And they'll let everybody know Monday what's going to happen. Southern Conference, as you know, banged athletics. Banged is a baseball term, meaning postponed, canceled, or whatever. Banged means it ain't going to happen. So they will make the announcement Monday about what is going to happen with fall sports at Mockland. Sticking on the sports, last night during the Cincinnati Reds telecast, one of the most respected play-by-play guys in baseball committed a huge faux pas, Tom Brenneman. He thought he thought they were at break, but the mic was hot. And he let go an epithet, a homophobic epithet that he did not think went out over the air. However, it did. And he was immediately pulled from the game. He apologized on the air. He has written a letter of apology. But guess what, Tom Brenneman? Your 30-plus year career is over. You don't make racial, homophobic, or anything like it epithets while you're working. You're supposed to assume that that mic is hot at all times. And you're supposed to watch yourself. And you didn't do it. And now you're going to pay the price because you're probably never going to work again. Stuart Baker, the unknown Henson, musical artist who has quite a cult following. He's been at Songbird several times. He's also, hello, Alan Thompson. He's appeared several times at Songbirds, and he has a cult following as the unknown Henson. Last week, when the real First Lady of Tennessee, Dolly Parton, made her comments that she does support Black Lives Matter, Stuart Baker, unknown Henson, whatever you want to call him. Oh, and by the way, he's also one of the voices on Squidbillies on the Cartoon Network. Internet connection. No, we didn't. And he was rather rude in his comments toward Dolly and quite graphic in his comments regarding Dolly Parton's cleavage and her persona of being. Dolly is the first to tell you. She patterns her look after the tramps that she saw growing up around Sevierville. Well, the unknown Henson, Stuart Baker, made several really derogatory comments directed at Dolly on social media. Mr. Baker is no longer employed by the Cartoon Network. He's probably going to watch his performing career as a musician go to hell in a basket. You got to be real careful what you're doing. Now, something like this, no, I'm not going to make any racial slurs or homophobic slurs or anything like that. If somebody's a piece of shit, though, I'm going to call them a piece of shit. But you've got the principal of Whitwell Elementary who posted on social media a very popular amongst the extreme right, a popular meme with Joe Biden with a diaper, so to speak, and then one for vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris. Now, I find the meme disgusting. Well, he put it out there on his social media. Guess who doesn't have a job now? When you're in that kind of position, take your ass off of social media. Or at least have enough sense. Now, this guy is a principal of a school. You would think he would be smart enough to not do something like that. Now, he's deleted the post. Too late. It's too late. It's out there. People caught a photo, took a photo of it. He has issued an apology and hoping he keeps his job. Fire his ass. I don't want people like that teaching my children. Very similar to the election commissioner in Clay County, Tennessee. And I'm looking for her name. I thought I wrote it down. Wanda Daniel, who posted on her social media words to the effect, if you vote for Joe Biden, you do not believe in God. What a piece of crap. Now, I went into this last time. If you try to tell me, should I vote for Joe Biden, that I'm not a Christian, you can kiss my ass. I explained it to you. My father was a Baptist minister. My second father, the late Reverend Jim Chandler, was a Baptist minister. In fact, my Uncle Jim was a Teamster and a proud member of the Teamsters Union. They vote Democratic. They never crossed the line, and he never did. Neither did my father. Now, are you going to tell them they're going to go to hell if they voted for Joe Biden? Take religion out of it. And Alan comes up, great comment by Alan. Politicians need to get off of social media while they're in office, and school officials need to do the same damn thing. The worst thing that ever happened to this presidency is the fact that he's never put Twitter down. And he might be a little bit more tolerable were he to, excuse me, put Twitter away. Now, we're going to have a special election night edition of Jump Into the Fire, and I will tell you at that time who I voted for. Now, I have not watched 1 minute of the Democratic National Convention. And most of that is by choice, although I did want to see, and I need to go look at it, the video that Cindy McCain made for Joe Biden. John McCain was an American hero. And the way he was treated by the current occupant of the White House still pisses me off. I am a veteran. I am a Navy veteran. Same branch of the military as John McCain. I'm proud to have served in the same branch of the service as John McCain. I voted for John McCain for president. And you can bet your bottom dollar the McCain family will vote for Joe Biden. One, because it is the relationship that they had. Kurt, as the old saying goes, and hello in California, I heard from my buddy this week. And she honored me. This is a little personal note, folks, so just hang on. She is honoring me in a way that doesn't happen often. And she can tell you, and I am incredibly humbled by what she's going to do. Haley Weisenbach, who is coming back and is back to play another year of mock softball. And we love you too, Mr. and Ms. Weisenbach. But this woman who is the election commissioner for Clay County, Tennessee, doesn't need to be posting that kind of stuff. Now, get back to sportscasting for a minute. You had Tom Brenneman. And then, and I forgot the guy's name, but he is the broadcaster for the Charlotte Hornets. During the game, he dropped the N-word several times, referring to the Denver Nuggets. He should lose his job. There's free speech, and then there's having enough sense to know not to say something like that when you've got hundreds of thousands of people listening to you. Okay? But Wanda Daniel of Clay County, and I see my brother out there. What's up in LRJ? And I'll have you a health update before the end of the show. I got the lab results back from this bunch of blood work. And it ain't great. But I turned on the evening news while I was getting ready, getting everything set up, getting my living room vacuumed, and all that stuff. And one of the stories on the CBS Evening News, somebody answer me this. Do you give a damn that there's going to be a new panda born into Washington Zoo? Do that on the morning news, not the evening news. Don't you think? That's a morning news kind of thing. I really don't care, because there was an overwhelming story today, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, but it shows just how scummy this man is, and that's Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is singing, "Nobody knows the trouble I've seen," because Steve Bannon's in jail. For he set up a GoFundMe page called We Build the Wall. and donations poured in to the tune of $25 million. Well, it seems that the postal inspectors were able to discover that Steve Bannon was funneling money for his personal use, over $1 million. And the bail is $5 million. $1.5 million of that has to be in real property. So Steve Bannon is going to jail. And I don't think this is a hit because he was a Trump campaign manager. I don't think that had anything to do with the postal inspectors going after him. This was the fact that the guy is scum. If you've ever seen Steve Bannon, he looks like he hasn't brushed his hair in years. And now he's sitting in the pokey. And let's just hope that justice prevails. I'm trying to look at my notes. See, I'm copying Clint Powell. I'm writing down notes of stuff I want to talk about. And if Kim Klein is out there, big kudos. Her son, Jacob, at Ridgeland is a preseason All-Stater. And if you're talking about Hillary Clinton, I happen to like Bill, and I've said it on here. As far as being a man, Bill Clinton is scummy as they come. But I did campaign for him. In fact, I mentioned it on here. First election, I took a 3-month leave of absence from my job to work at the local headquarters, and they shipped me all over the area talking about Bill Clinton. But Jacob Klein at Ridgeland High School, a preseason All-Stater, that's a pretty big deal in Class 4A in Georgia. Yeah, high school football starts tomorrow night in Tennessee. Now, I'm curious to see. I know at East Hamilton, they're setting the maximum capacity at 1,500 people. And if you leave, you can't come back in. You can't come in at halftime. Once that 1,500 is reached, that's it. Nobody else is allowed in. Even if people do leave, nobody else is going to be allowed in. You're going to get temperature shot as you come in the gate. Unless you are a family group, you will be social distanced and you will wear a mask the entire game. Concession stands are going to be prepackaged. Soft drinks and stuff will be in bottles. So let's hope something breaks and COVID starts dropping before it gets cold weather and people are going to want coffee and hot chocolate. Because you got to make that. You can't, unless you want to get, how you going to get hot chocolate if there's not somebody there to make it? Because I don't think hot chocolate, unless you just bought a case of like Mayfield's chocolate milk, the, containers that I've been known to down. Although I got to cut back on that because it's high in potassium. And my potassium numbers are good. I'll give you that. Okay. But that's not what they're worried about. So it's going to be interesting to see after the games tomorrow night, 2 weeks from now. It's going to be real interesting to see There were 60 some odd new cases in Hamilton County today. Becky Barnes of the Hamilton County Health Department said ICU admissions are going down. Now, Alan and I have a dear, dear friend, and I think he knows who I'm talking about, whose father is going on a week in ICU, and he's on a ventilator. And he's still in critical condition. And I love Melissa Baskett to death. And when you hit your knees tonight, say a prayer for her dad, Mike. Because Mike is not that, he's younger than I am. And he's struggling with it. And Melissa is as good a person as I know. And I mean, I haven't worked at Blue Cross since, when did I leave Blue Cross? I think 2007. Yes, that's when I left. Wait a minute. No, 2011. I got hired in 7, left in 11. And that was nice because I turned 55. I was able to take early retirement, cashed out my 401k, and I got the hell out of there. But I wasn't there that long. But Melissa was one of those people you meet when you first get there, and then they become a friend. And she always goes out of her way to text me when she's at a Lookouts game. And Cindy worked with her. Just throw a prayer up for Dad Mike that he can beat this COVID thing. Speaking of the Lookouts, folks, I realized that a lot of Chattanooga was enamored with the Cincinnati Reds. Okay? I understand that. There's a deep, long history, like 25 years, affiliation with Cincinnati Reds. But keep in mind, after the Reds left in the early 2000s, they were became a farm team for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jock Peterson came through Chattanooga. Although he's no longer with the Dodgers, Yasiel Puig came through with the Dodgers. Corey Seager, Dodgers starting shortstop, came through Chattanooga. And the absolute highlight of my announcing career, and I've got it put away, and that's my score sheet from the night Clayton Kershaw pitched for the Chattanooga Lookouts. It was a rehab start. He pitched 6 innings and made everybody look foolish. And that, when I'm doing, if you've been to a Lookouts game, you know how we, get on your, now join Louis the Lookout and welcome to the field tonight's starting lineup for your Chattanooga Lookouts. Right fielder, left fielder, center fielder, and behind the plate. And I think it was Chris O'Brien. And then I go, on the mound for the Chattanooga Lookouts, number 21, Clayton Kershaw. I mean, it was a sellout crowd that night. And Kurt brings up a valid point. I grew up a Democrat. And then I saw Ronald Reagan. And if you have not seen The American Experience that's currently out on PBS about Ronald Reagan, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. Clayton Kershaw is right up there with saying left fielder number 4, Haley Weisenbach. It's right up there with it. Astros stole everybody's pitches. I mean, and that's where I've come up with a new name for the baseball commissioner, Rob Manfred. Does anybody watch The Simpsons? Let me know if you watch The Simpsons or used to watch The Simpsons. I don't watch it I don't watch it anymore. It's run its course. But the principal is Principal Skinner. Hapless, useless. That's the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, who I now refer to as Principal Skinner of Major League Baseball. This should have been the get back year. It's a shame that there are no fans in the stands because the Houston Astros would catch absolute hell wherever they went. But look at the starting. I digress. Look at tonight's starting lineup for the Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins were only here for 4 seasons. They were replaced last season. We changed working agreements. Twins moved on down the road, and we once again became a Cincinnati Reds affiliate. Tonight, the Minnesota Twins are going to start seven former Chattanooga Lookouts. Because in those 4 years, the Lookouts won 2 Southern League championships. The Minnesota Twins are on the verge of becoming one of the dominant teams in baseball. And I was fortunate enough to see most of those guys come through Chattanooga. And that is what is so much fun about doing PA for minor league teams, is seeing those guys get called up and become big stars in the bigs. Now, the Braves are making a big deal out of Christian Pache being caught, I watched him 2 years with the Mississippi Braves, and I wasn't impressed. Now, I was impressed with Ozzie Albies, but I was not impressed by Christian Pache. And I can't think of the guy's name. He's a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, but he's like, what's the guy's name? Pitcher and DH with the Angels. Ohani? This guy does the same thing for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he came through Chattanooga with the Montgomery Biscuits. And I know my buddy at Chattanooga Mocs Athletic Department, Corey Belonzi, he went to high school with the guy up in Pittsburgh. By the way, if you're a Steelers fan, I have some Pittsburgh Steeler floor mats. If you want them, let me know. Send me a direct message. Let me know, and I'll get them to you. They're virtually brand new, and I'm not going to tell you how I got them. I never owned them. Because, that's where my allegiances are torn now, because I've been a Tennessee Titans fan since they moved from Houston to Tennessee. And there are former Mocs players on the Titans, but there are also former Mocs players with the Chicago Bears. And the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. I mean, Chattanooga has become the FCS pipeline to the pros. And it's hard to pick a team. I'm not going to live or die by any of them. I don't live or die by any professional baseball or football team. And I could care less about the NBA. Don't give a damn. But it's going to be interesting because news is starting to leak out. Everybody knows how the NBA is doing their bubble. down in Orlando. The NFL is in discussions now that when the NFL playoffs start, taking a bubble concept. It's interesting. I mean, you're going to have to do it in a warm weather city. And the problem with that, what about the teams who have an actual advantage in the playoffs because it's bitter cold if they host a playoff game, like the Steelers or the Patriots, possibly the Baltimore Ravens, the Broncos, the teams that play outdoors in December and January have a distinct advantage. Although some folks would say, no, not really, because they're going to practice indoors. Maybe so. But it appears to be an advantage. So what's going to happen to those teams when the playoffs, if they do take the bubble concept? Now, I guess we just sit back and watch. It's interesting just to see how things are going to work, because I don't think any NFL team is going to allow fans. The SEC, most of their schools have announced they're going to be at 20 to 25% capacity. I know at Georgia, in Athens, they're going to limit it to 20,000. In Knoxville, at Neyland, it's going to be 25,000. You know, we're still a long way off. September 26th is when the SEC starts. Still a long way off, and a lot could happen between now and then. But they've already set their guidelines. Most schools have already said there's not going to be tailgating. A lot of schools have said there's not going to be band. Tennessee has already said we're not going to do the Vol Walk. Now, I've seen several, and this is what worries me about the high school season. Okay, they are going to do the social distancing, keep the crowd at around 1,500. But for the last 3 weeks on the local news, they've been covering high school football. Not once in all the schools they've covered and done reports on, showing them at practice, have I seen one coach wearing a mask. You see footage from an SEC practice, all the assistants have masks on. And there are several schools in this area that have been hit by COVID. Several high schools have been hit by it. So it starts tomorrow night, and it's going to be interesting to see a couple of weeks down the road what the repercussions are going to be. And I'm going to ask you guys, does the principal of Whitwell Elementary belong on the POS list for what he did? If you are an authority figure, do you post your political comments on social media? I say no. Whether you support President Trump, whether you support Joe Biden, if you are a public employee, if you are paid by a government entity, I personally don't think you should be posting your political preferences on social media. So you guys can decide whether he deserves induction to the list. And I'm going to take Alan's suggestion, and I'm going to get a clipboard, and I'm going to do just like Chris Jericho, the professional wrestler. You just made the list. You think he would sue me, Alan, for some kind of infringement? Is that possible? And my son is working a closing video, and somehow I've got to dig back in the archives and see if I've got a photo of me and number 4 of the mock softball team. Somewhere back in my archives, I have one. I definitely would like to add that photo of me and Haley and Coach Reed to that video roll that we're working on for the end of the show. I would really like to add that because I'm just not one to get my picture made with everybody. Most of the photos we're going to use in this are just random shots. There are only 2 photos that are going on, and it's only only 3 that I have where I have actually had my picture taken with an athlete that I had become friends with. And one of them's the NFL Hall of Famer, you got aggravated because it just kept buffering. It's like that little hourglass you used to see all the time. And the only other one that is and that's with former Mocs catcher Amanda Beltran. But I need one of me and Haley. And I'm going to look in my archives. And I think the best one, Kurt and Michelle, was when we had the fundraiser breakfast up in Hickson before last season, which got unceremoniously canceled. Yes, T.O. T.O. is a Chattanooga Mock. T.O. is by far and away the greatest football player in the history of Chattanooga Mocs football. And in my humble opinion, you can have Jerry Rice all you want. Today's wide receivers, T.O. was the prototype. And what you see of T.O. is not what he really is. T.O. loves Chattanooga, and he loves that university. He loves that university. That's right. And we've got, that's up on the video board, Alan, during Mocs games. T.O., get your popcorn ready. And he's just a nice guy. And that is one photo that I actually wanted and asked him if he'd, do it. And he said, sure. And now he'll come to basketball games. He comes to town unannounced. And it's always good to shake a howdy and see him at the arena. But folks, I told you I would update you. I told you about 3 weeks ago that my cardiologist was a little concerned about my kidney function. And I went back a week later, had more blood work done. Numbers didn't change. Went back yesterday. Got the results back today. It's dropped 1 point. So that is still an ongoing concern about my kidney function. So, if you pray, throw a prayer up, going to do a little bit of medication adjustment, because if you have heart problems, most of the time they will put you on a diuretic. Hello, Betty, who I miss terribly. You're on diuretics, and diuretics can just zap your kidneys. So we're going to see if reducing the dosage of the diuretics will help alleviate the problem of possible kidney failure, because, as she said, we got to nip it in the bud, because if your kidneys fail, you're screwed. Because I'd never be able to withstand the surgery for a transplant. So we're going to be think about it. There we go. Technology. What can I say? Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Cindy Lou, my buddy, Alan. But I was talking about Wiedmer, in a column he wrote a year ago, mentioned that I had cheated death multiple times. Yeah. I have cheated. I've had 6 heart attacks. I've cheated death 5 times. Alice, baby. Alice, for the Twins tonight are former Chattanooga Lookouts that we got to see play. But I've cheated death 5 times. Maybe I'm like an old cat. Meow. Hi, Tina. So, folks, thanks. We hope you enjoyed it. I just get on here and ramble and rant. Here in the next week or so, we are going to have a guest on, and we're going to talk about the note. Anybody that grew up in Chattanooga remembers the old live wrestling with Harry Thornton. Well, the promoter of that was Nick Goulas, who is notoriously one of the cheapest bastards that's ever lived. And we're going to have somebody on here who experienced that. If you have not picked up Jerry Haskew's CD, you need to reach out to him on Facebook and get a copy. I got mine yesterday that he sent me, and it is absolutely incredible. Remember, on September the 12th, he and Roger Allen Wade will be at the Depot in Ringgold. And then, like I said, high school football starts tomorrow night. For up to date information on these games, go to Scenic City Sports on Facebook, because they will have live game zone on Reedaville. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Again, I am humbled, and I appreciate it. We hope you enjoy what we're doing. Give us feedback. Subscribe to us on every podcast platform imaginable, with the exception of Apple. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back Saturday night, because some of you are going to want to go to high school football tomorrow night, and I don't want to interrupt, don't want to interrupt that of what you are doing. That didn't make any sense. But until Saturday night at 7 o'clock, remember, be kind to each other.